Hey everyone, I've got to do a quick, I'm going to call it an emergency video because it is really imperative that everybody listens very carefully and understands what I'm about to say. There's a relatively new problem that seems to have arisen. I'm not sure why it's occurring at this stage and how many there are, but I think it's a good, easy check for everybody to do. That's probably going to maybe save some engines, you know, it's not going to happen to everybody. It's to do with an oil leak down the front and some bolts coming loose that secure the supply pump. So what's happened is we've had a couple over the recent years in some of the workshop partners workshops, and I think we might have had one here. It's very rare, if at all. Cause of it maybe if your supply pump's been replaced, or if your engine's been replaced, or it's been worked on where the supply pump's been removed, because I don't believe from factory the bolts would be loose enough to come loose. So the symptom is, there's been a couple people post on our Facebook groups recently. If you're not aware of our Facebook groups, I would suggest you get all over them. There they are, the best groups on Facebook that you will find. If you're in Australia, Oz Proto Crew, Oz Hilux Crew, the Injectors and Engine, and 1kd for whatever, you know. I mean, they're good groups, but you know, those groups there, of course, then move straight to 4x4 Diesel or 4x4 Adventures if you're not in Australia, or if you want to join, you can join them anyway. And of course, the best, the VIP group. And I think it was in the VIP group. That's only for clients, right? And there's some more info for those that hang around. But anyway, that phone won't ring. It's a text message service to book in to the Prada Hospital when we're open by following the Prada Hospital Facebook page there, the Prada Hospital, and gathering information before you try and make contact, or to purchase your parts kits. Now that we've got that ironed out, so I think it was on the VIP group, somebody had a really bad rattling sort of noise from the front of the engine. Turned out to be this, I think, and then someone else has posted just today, which is what reminded me, and I go, hang on a minute. I was going to do this video anyway, and I sort of got busy, whatever, and then, hang on, another one 2 days later, and we haven't confirmed yet, but he's talking about an oil leak down the front. He's got the timing cover off. He's put a photo up. It doesn't look quite right. It looks like that big gear where the timing belt goes over down the bottom there. It doesn't look centered to the nut in the middle in the photo. It could be just the way he held the camera. But he's also talking about the oil leak, and I went, you know, there's a good chance it could be this, because that seal down the bottom doesn't leak oil unless the pump's on an angle. And you don't, bonus information, you don't have to change the seal or take it off or anything like that. You've just got to tighten the bolts up. Now we're just going to, so I've been clear about what the symptoms are. Could rattle, could have an oil leak. What the cause is, probably it's been worked on, but I'm not sure about that yet. How many there are, not many. The solution, tightening the nuts. Now, can somebody please look up the torque? We need 3 torque specifications. Can you put it in the comments? Can a heap of people please do this, so then we can go, yep, everybody's got the right, same answers, and then it's right. Now, these are the 3 numbers we want to know. We want to know the nuts on the back of the supply pump, right? What's the torque on those? They're the ones we're talking about here. But while we're at it, because it's imperative to avoiding engine failure, the timing belt is very reliable. We don't see problems, but it is what connects the top of the engine to the bottom. And if things start coming loose or falling off or issues like that, it's going to cause catastrophic failure, right? Which could result in engine failure because the belt connects the top to the bottom. Engine turns at the bottom. If the top's not turning the same, pistons hit the valves, you're going to bend the valves, head's going to come off. It's going to be a big drama, and it's not going to be as reliable as it was before unless you're absolutely awesome and doing the work yourself, because you're not going to find anyone to do it right for you. So you just want to avoid the situation, right? So the torque specs for the pump at the back there, I'll show you some nuts in a minute. I've got a bit of an aspect to get in on this one, and I've got another one on the hoist next door, so I want to be clear about which nuts. So on the timing belt, when you've got your timing belt off, when you do your BFE job, we've got a BFE kit, I'm just going to mention it, right? Anywhere in Australia, timing belt, idler tension, a cam seal, drive belt, all the bearings, blah, 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 water pump, you know, it's all included, everything that moves on the front, right, that matters, you know, service kit. 770, express post, delivered to your door, anywhere in Australia, right? Can't get it anywhere else, right? That's me, my kit, I invented it. Everyone else can copy. You might get some timing belt kit or aftermarket kit or stuff, things that are included that you don't need, and of course the things you need not included and all that. Value for money, can't beat it. And then you get in the VIP group and you get to see all this stuff and all the extra info. Down there, when you got the time belt off doing the BFE, you notice that gear down the bottom, it's got a nut in the middle. That's the other torque spec we want to know. We'll call it the nut. that goes on to the middle of the supply pump. You know the one I mean? It's got like a bit of a rubber sealy O-ring type thing. It's a seal to stop moisture getting into the thread. It's a really coarse thread. We want to know the torque spec on that one, please. And then there's 4 bolts that go around it, and they're 12 mil heads. They're probably what are they, M8s or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while. I don't take that much notice. I think they're M8s. Torque spec on those 4 bolts, please. So we're going to call it the nuts to secure the pump to the block. We're going to call it the bolt on the front of the pump, and the 4 bolts holding the pulley on the front. Okay, so they're the 3 different torque specs we need to know. Please put it in the comments, everyone. Thanks for your help. Now let's get in there. I'll try and find these nuts location for you and give you an idea how hard they're going to be to get to tighten them up, or to check. I want everybody to go and check their nuts. Check your nuts. Okay, we've got the light on. That's going to help. You're going to need to get the power steering reservoir, slip that and move that out of the way. Some of these hoses, just move them out of the way. But I'm going to try and do this the easy way. Right now, one of the nuts here, they do hide a bit. It's going to be impossible to see from here, actually. I can see one of them. I can see one of the nuts. All right, so what I'll do, I'll zoom. I'll do that camera work again. See, middle of the picture, there's a black clip right in the middle of the picture. Get my laser. Hang on. Thanks, Paul. We got the laser. Okay, so this is going to be easy, right? So down here, it's going to be hard to see at the moment. See that black clip there, just to the left? The nut is just like literally down. We'll get a bit of reflection. I've got technical problems with my laser, but down that hole there, I'll zoom in for you and see what we can get. Now I've got to try and remember what size. What are they? 17, 15, 17? I really can't remember. We try and avoid doing too many engines. We like to do prevention, all right? But you can see that nut there. Is it going to come into focus? Are we going to get focus? I don't know. Are we going to get laser? That nut, it's down. It's just bouncing straight off, isn't it? But that nut there, you get the general area. So to get to it, you're going to need to come in down from probably behind here. You're going to have to work that out. I can't really be pulling everything out of the way, but they're going to be a little bit difficult to get to, but it's going to be worth it. Let's go to the Hilux on the hoist and have a look at that, see if we can see a bit more. Okay, we've got the Hilux on the hoist here. We need that light. Come on, light works better, doesn't it? Right? Easier to see, mate. You're looking right at it. Look at that right there. Right in the middle of the picture. Look at that. Bring on the laser. The laser. See that bolt right there? Looks like about a 17, I reckon, is going to be my guess from here. And the other one, that one there. Okay. Thanks, Paul, for the laser. Thanks, mate. All right, that was a good one for the laser, wasn't it? So they're the 2 bolts. Actually, I'm pointing you in the wrong direction, people. Sorry. Disregard everything I just said. What am I talking about? You idiot. I hope everyone's having a laugh with me here. And this is what I do. I make mistakes and I just put it up there anyway. I don't care. You're looking at the bloody power steering vane pump, actually. So totally wrong. You got the vacuum pump at the front. I do know what I'm talking about. I just get a bit carried away. So it's going to look a bit like those bolts there. See that one there? But it's not that one. So don't bother tightening that one up. So that's your power steering vane pump at the bottom. They won't be loose. You can see a bit of a sweat of oil there as well. Don't worry about that. It's just a sweat. If it becomes a really bad drip and a leak, which I don't really see, then it's the O-ring in behind there. Not too bad to change, but it can be a bit fiddly to get the pump back in. It's gear driven. So it's above that. So it is going to be hard to see, but we can. Hang on, let me just see. No, we can't see because that top bolt up there, that top bolt is, yes, that's going to be hard to see from here as well. Let me see. So look, you can see the pump. You can see the bottom of the SCV just there, right? So the bolt's going to be, see where that laser is there? We haven't got an angle on it because this vane pump, the back of the vane pump here is in the way. I know it's really hard to show you, but look, you're just going to have to figure it out, people. So having a good visual is the first thing you want to do. Whether you've got a 120, a 150, you know what, any vehicle for that matter, if it can happen on a 1kd, it can happen on any diesel. So you know what, if it's been worked on, it's worth checking. What I say is all the imperatives. So when we do an injector job, right, I even use a torque wrench. I reckon I'm pretty good with my hands, and traditionally I don't use torque wrenches for much, and I don't have any issues with anything. But when it comes to an injector job, it's imperative. So for the clamps, the return light, all that stuff, fuel pipes, I use it, right? And I still reckon I've got a pretty good hand. I get the pops about right, and I've got a good feel for it. And people carry on about extensions and angles and this and that, and it does make a difference. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't make that much different on these that it matters. What matters is when people just go crazy with spanners and do 50 newton meters, or they only do 20, or whatever they do that's miles off, that's really what's going to matter. So use a torque wrench, but don't worry about how many extensions you're using. Do your best and it'll be okay. Now, when I say imperative, there's some engine things like, head gaskets was a perfect example. You always use a torque wrench and you want to get that procedure bang on. Now, timing belt components, again, like I said, it's catastrophic failure if the top doesn't turn with the bottom. So you want to make sure you don't forget anything is important and that you've used a torque wrench on them if you're not awesome with your hands, with a lot of experience and you know what you're doing. Down the bottom here, the supply pump. So if any engine or you saw something's been worked on, I'd be checking these three torque specs that we talked about when you do your BFE. If you think the pump's been replaced or the engine, you can check the torque specs on those while you've got it apart. I suggest you check them while the timing belt is fitted in place so you can't accidentally turn the engine and force the pistons against the valves and risk damaging, bending a valve a little bit. Always, all right? Same as when you crack that camshaft bolt, the 19mm at the top loose. If you're going to crack that loose, I'm always going to do it. Crack it loose while the belt's still on. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to crack it loose. Same as I'm going to torque it up once the belt is back on. Yeah? Can you get that from another video? Then you not watching enough videos. Subscribe, turn the bell on because it's good info. We want to get you educated so you can do this stuff. Now, you're going to have to work your way in there. You're going to have to remove, get your fuel filter hoses. If you've got extra accessories in the way, get your power steering out of the way, remove a few things out of the way, get your lights happening, get down there. You'll work out the supply pump. It's down the one that's got the suction control valve hanging off the back of it, right? You can see that down there. And there's two nuts that go over, basically that retain it in, okay? So it's pretty straightforward. There's an O-ring and whatever. The good news, because it's a quality seal and an O-ring, if yours is loose, and you tighten it up, it's going to solve your oil leak. You don't have any issues. Give it a good wash down afterwards. Put it all back together and come back to this video and put in the comments. Let me know if you found one, because I'd love to know if anyone finds one. If I've saved a few, then bloody awesome. And hopefully people that are subscribed with the bell and see this info, and things like this do pop up. And if you miss it, then you miss it and you could have problems. So I recommend, once again, subscribe, turn the bell on, don't miss a video, listen to the end, lots of info. Put up with the waffling because it's going to save you money. And might give you a headache, but at least you'll have a reliable vehicle and more money in your pocket. Catch you on the next video. See ya.